Walk through any suburban garden center in December. The pepper seed display sits mostly empty, a few forgotten packets scattered across wire racks. The photos show bright red jalapenos and glossy bell peppers, all promising the same thing: thin walls, quick growth, and death by October. Inside every packet, hundreds of pale seeds rest like tiny promises that last exactly one season. The gardeners who planted these varieties in spring now scrape frost-blackened stems from their beds, already planning to buy the same seeds again next year. But tucked behind the common varieties, occasionally, sits something different. A packet with darker, rougher seeds that look almost burnt. These seeds carry a different promise, one that most gardeners walk past without noticing. They hold the memory of a different kind of pepper, one that was never meant to die each winter. In the cloud forests of Peru and Bolivia, where the air thins and morning mist clings to mountainsides, families still tend pepper plants that their grandparents planted decades ago. These plants grow tall as small trees, their woody trunks scarred by seasons, their branches heavy with fruit that snaps like apples when bitten. The peppers they harvest look nothing like the hollow shells sold in supermarkets. They are thick, dense, almost meaty in their weight. When sliced open, they reveal flesh so substantial it could be mistaken for a small tomato. But the most telling difference lies in the seeds. Where commercial peppers carry pale, flat seeds, these fruits hold dark seeds that catch the light like pieces of volcanic glass. The families who grow them speak of plants that have fed 3 generations from the same roots. These mountain peppers, which locals call rocoto, followed rhythms that commercial agriculture never learned to replicate. They flowered purple instead of white, their petals darker than any pepper most people have seen. Their leaves felt different too, covered in fine hairs that caught moisture from the highland mist. The plants grew slowly, taking nearly a full year from seed to significant harvest. But once established, they continued producing for 15 years or more. Families would plant them as investments, knowing that a single plant might feed children who had not yet been born. Archaeological evidence suggests this arrangement lasted thousands of years, with rocoto seeds found in pre-Incan burial sites, as if the peppers were considered valuable enough to accompany the dead into whatever came next. The relationship between these people and their peppers developed around necessity. At 8,000 feet above sea level, nights dropped below freezing even during growing seasons. The thick-walled fruits provided more than flavor. They offered a form of internal warmth that thinner peppers could not match. Families would chew rocoto during long, cold nights, feeling the heat spread through their chests and extremities. The peppers became part of survival systems, woven into daily meals and seasonal preservation practices. Children learned to recognize the plants not just by their fruit, but by their distinctive growth patterns, their preference for partial shade, their ability to withstand temperatures that killed other plants. This knowledge passed from hand to hand, season to season, in the way that essential skills do. But rocoto carried traits that made it unsuitable for the systems that came to dominate food distribution. Its thick walls meant heavy fruit that bruised easily during transport. Its high moisture content led to spoilage during extended storage. Its preference for cool, misty conditions made it difficult to grow in the hot lowlands where large-scale agriculture concentrated. Most problematically for commercial interests, rocoto required nearly a year to reach full production and performed best when allowed to develop into large, permanent shrubs. The economics of annual replanting, which created steady seed sales, made no sense with a plant that could produce for decades from a single investment. Industrial agriculture needed crops that could be standardized, mechanized, and replaced each season. Rocoto resisted all of these requirements. The shift toward shipping-friendly varieties happened gradually, market by market, until rocoto disappeared from most commercial production. Breeding programs focused on creating peppers with thinner walls that could withstand mechanical handling and long-distance transport. The goal became producing uniform fruit that could survive 2 weeks on a truck and another week on grocery store shelves. Flavor and nutrition became secondary to durability and appearance. Seed companies consolidated around varieties that promised quick germination, rapid growth, and predictable harvests within a single growing season. The economic model required customers who would return each spring to purchase new seeds, new transplants, new growing supplies. A pepper plant that lived for 15 years represented a customer lost for 15 years. Today, Rocoto survives primarily in small family plots scattered across the Andes, where families continue practices that predate commercial agriculture. These gardens operate outside market systems, with seeds saved from season to season and plants cared for across generations. The peppers they produce never enter global supply chains. They are consumed fresh, processed into family-specific sauces, or dried in small quantities for local use. Visitors to these regions sometimes encounter Rocoto in traditional dishes, experiencing the intense heat and apple-like crunch that distinguishes it from commercial varieties. But for most people, Rocoto exists only as an absence, a gap in the pepper varieties available through normal retail channels. The thick-walled peppers that once fed highland communities have been effectively erased from the modern food system. The consequences of this erasure extend beyond simple variety loss. Home gardeners accustomed to annual replanting often struggle to understand the investment mindset that perennial food plants require. They plant, harvest, and discard, repeating the cycle each year without questioning its necessity. The idea of establishing permanent food-producing shrubs in their yards feels foreign, almost risky. They choose familiar varieties that promise quick results over unfamiliar ones that require patience and long-term planning. Even when Rocoto seeds become available through specialty suppliers, many gardeners reject them unconsciously, drawn instead to varieties that match their expectations of how peppers should behave. The annual cycle has become so normalized that alternatives appear strange rather than beneficial. Yet Rocoto continues to demonstrate possibilities that annual agriculture cannot match. In the few places where it has been successfully established outside its native range, individual plants produce hundreds of fruits per season once mature. Their yields dwarf what most gardeners achieve with multiple annual plants occupying the same space. The plants require minimal inputs after establishment, needing neither replanting nor the intensive fertility management that annual crops demand. They provide fresh fruit late into autumn, when most garden production has ceased. Their tolerance for partial shade allows them to occupy garden spaces that other peppers cannot use effectively. These advantages remain largely theoretical for most people, visible only in the experiences of the small number of growers who have successfully established Rocoto in non-traditional climates. The black seeds that distinguish Rocoto from commercial varieties continue to circulate in small networks, passed between gardeners who understand their significance. These seeds carry more than genetic material. They carry the memory of a different relationship between people and plants, one based on permanence rather than replacement. The gardeners who seek them out often speak of wanting to break free from annual cycles, to establish something lasting in their landscapes. They plant Rocoto knowing it may take years to reach full production, understanding that the investment extends beyond a single season. When successful, these plants become landmarks in their gardens, focal points that organize space and time differently than annual crops. The dark seeds that started this process continue to appear in each harvest, ready to establish the next generation of permanent food plants.